pens. Heavens. Good afternoon, everyone. Do I look organised? Not feeling organised. Not at all. I don't know what happened to the last hour. I was cruising at about 10 o'clock this morning. Anyway, let's have a seat. Make ourselves at home. Oh, that's nice. I'm on my own today. Well, discounting livestock and a feline, I'm on my own. And it's a bit different in that last 15 minutes before you do a show. What do a show? Join you on Facebook. We have to call it a show because it's a Facebook show, and otherwise people think I'm just chatting on the phone. But that 15 minutes before I start, if there's someone else here, I delegate. Unintentionally, but I just become bossy boot. So it's all, can you make me a coffee? Can you check that I've turned on the switcher? Can you please just put the overhead camera on? Can you run and get this? Can someone find my glasses? All of that happens at the last minute, and then when it's just me, I've got to do it all myself. So maybe I need to just keep that in mind, don't you think, for next time round. Who's here? Good afternoon, Karen. Good afternoon. Hello, Kathy, Maureen, and Sue. Janet Steer, welcome. Good afternoon, Kesey. You were up to no good about 15 minutes ago. I know, I get notifications on my phone. I know what you're up to. So I will do that for you. It'll go out tomorrow for you. Sylvia Trencher, good afternoon. Your parcel's on the way, minus the freezer paper. I don't know what happened, but it's ordered, it's on its way. So you've got your order coming, and I'll send it up for you post-free. Margaretha, good afternoon. How are things in Bayside? Just down the way. Lynn, good afternoon. Barb Lawrence, good to see you. Del, good afternoon. Your order is the only outstanding order from yesterday because, I have to pick up a bolt of a Melba Kaleidoscope from storage at Phil, so I'm going to do that after the show today, and then I shall pop yours straight into the guys at my post office for you. Good afternoon, Gay. From Grossdale. Lovely. Nice spot of the world. Hazel, mate, how are you? Good that you could join us this afternoon. Kathy, Diane Ross, good afternoon. How you banana bobbins? Can I say that? I just remembered, I thought about you today, like I had your bobbins. I had Diane's bobbins in the middle console of my car, didn't I, for about 3 months. And finally, we're all good. Please tell me I gave them to you that day and they're not still there. Now I can't remember, it's worrying me now. And someone rang for bobbins today, and I thought they could stick up Di for them. She's got some. Diana, are you tracking your parcel? It must nearly be there, mustn't it? You must nearly have your parcel to take to the shop in Costa Rica. I hope so. I'll have a look after the show. Bernadette, good afternoon to you with Chris. Yes, you have zippers. Ginny's, I'm just reading. Sorry, I'm reading other things. Ginny's not here. Ginny says, why wasn't she called to the meeting? That's what someone's just texted me. That's hilarious. Who's here? Yvonne Chapman, good afternoon. Denise, I've gone too far. Jimmy, good afternoon to you. How are things in Tassie? Hi girls, I'm so... it's in the USA? And then are you taking it to Costa Rica? How's it getting there? We're shipping to Maria in Spain this week, and we have had two, have I told you, we have 2 failed attempts. The Australia Post and the Spanish Post do not talk. They're a big no. And so twice we've sent stuff to poor Maria, and it's come back all the way from Spain. So we're doing what we did last time. We're shipping into, my mate Vivian at Purple Stitches. We're shipping into Viv, and then she's going to FedEx it across to Spain. I know, but these are the things we do to look after our international customers. Someone's trying to ring me. Do they not know we're on Facebook? I'm not answering it. Sue, hi in California. How are things? I love you when you have a show at this time. Yeah, 7 p.m. It's a good time for your coast, isn't it? Oh, yeah, you're caught up with your Wisteria. Awesome. Valerie, good afternoon to you. Sorry, Val. Got you, Valerie. Margaret, good afternoon. Carol Newton is here too. That's awesome. Carol Jury. Oh, poor Carol. Poor Carol waited, or is still waiting, forever for her 2 Baltimore blocks, and I failed to tell Carol while she was waiting, so I'm hoping she'll forgive me. I express posted them because I was down a fabric for the Aster block in the end. And I just forgot to tell you, Carol, I'm so sorry, but they have finally left the building. My bad, my bad. Cecily, good afternoon. Deb Rundle, Marcel, hi, and Heather. Hello, Heather. Welcome. Good to see you. So, today, all I can say is, first of all, can you please remind me, somebody, you know, at 10 o'clock before the next show to go and do my hair well before the show, because I go and do my hair and it gets a blow dryer and it gets all hot, and then I arrive back here and have more coffee, and then let's do this for a minute. Okay, we're good. What do I have to tell you today? First of all, may I please show and tell? Just indulge me just for a minute. This is what I do after dinner at night. I do this. I kind of put the switch without standing up. There. Ta-da! So, I have a truckload of peaches in my kitchen. Well, not so many now. And pears. And have you got a Fowler's? Has anyone got a Fowler's and it's sitting in the cupboard and they're not using it? Get it out. It is the best fun. I haven't done it for probably 30 years since I used to do it with Mum. And so this is what I'm doing in my spare time, or while dinner's cooking, because I've got one of the little barrel plastic tubs I've gone and got. I didn't buy mine new. I got it off. Margaret found it on Market Price for me. So I'm preserving. So we found in the Warrigal paper, or Mark found the Warrigal paper, someone as a fundraiser that was bringing a whole heap of fruit down from the Goulburn Valley. So that's, what did I just do to the screen? No. Okay. Phew. Yeah, all of this stuff coming down from the Goulburn Valley. So we ordered a whole heap of fruit, and it arrived, and now we're bottling. So I've got stacks and stacks of Yellowstone peaches, and then I've done mangoes with peaches, and then mangoes on their own, because we love mangoes and we have them all year round. So you know, in curries and all sorts of things, I love them, and I don't like the canned ones. And then I did peach and passion fruit jam yesterday. I'm pretty happy with that. Always good to have preserves to bribe my Australia Post guys with, so that they pick up my mail in the morning, so they get eggs. There were pears handed over this morning. Sharon Keys, oh, have you still got it? Do you use it? Best thing. I just love, there's just something magical about, oh, so Carol does, yes you do. I thought you would. I bet, I knew you would. So it's just the best thing to open the cupboard, isn't it, and just have all this stuff. This, I've done a big batch of the passion fruit and peach jam. I'm planning on that going into cakes for soirees, probably the Christmas in July soiree. And I've done bigger jars than this in peaches, because I'm going to do peach Melba meringue nests for one of the soirees as well. And these little ones, I'm sorry, they're not leaving home, because they've got brandy syrup in them, so they're for us to have on a wicked winter's night. So I'll just move all my fruit. Never mind, I'll just put it out here. And I've got a whole stack of plums done from Dad, and plum jam. And next is pears. So I'm doing pears in ginger syrup tonight. I know. I've got enough to do, but it takes no time. It takes no time at all. Hello, Joe. Thanks for joining us. Yvonne Chapman, did I say hi before? If I didn't, I'm sorry. Ruthie, hello in WA. How are you? Now we've got, so today, big day, last block. Can you believe it? Time just goes. So this is the last block, and then next month we're going to talk about assembly, which is quite hilarious, isn't it? As I didn't make the blocks again this time, but I'm going to be able to show you how to do it, and we'll look at a couple of different ways to do it. So if you haven't, well, you won't have started piecing your blocks together yet, because we'll do the assembly next month. But what we can do is actually talk about two different ways to do it. We can do the traditional method, which we'll talk about. I'm sorry, can you see what I'm preoccupied, aren't I? Because for some reason my Facebook shut down. Remember how it used to do that all the time? Manage page. That'd be the button to push. Manage page. And then we go live there. No, that doesn't do it either. I'll have to go out the back later to say goodbye and turn it off. This being the 9th, as I said, when we get to this for the 10th, traditional piecing method. Now we'll talk about this in detail because I need you to be able to get these angles in. So if you've done any angled piecing before, whether it's with one of my quilts or something else, then you'll be fine. And the whole secret is to stop at that 1/4 inch seam line. So you mark your seams in 1/4 inch, and you've got to stop and leave the seam allowances open, and that way you can actually pivot and go round. You don't sew round. You've got to stop at each of these, finish off, come out and go to the other side of your seam allowances. So we'll talk about that next month. And I've got a couple of really good quilts still here. I've got one up in the cupboard that we did a long time ago. I think it might have been what was it called? Imperial Windows. I've got it, Imperial Windows. All those type of shapes that need you to stop and start at each of the seams to get it flat. Castle ceiling is another one of those that we need to do. So we will go through that, but some of you I know are pretty eager to do it quilt as you go. So this we can do quilt as you go, but it will mean just a little bit of messing around for you when you come to quilt. Now if you've been good and followed what I said way back at the start, you haven't started cutting down your blocks yet, and your fat quarters that you've been using are going to be generously big enough for us to put extra seam allowance in here, and between the two will abut the two seams underneath here, and we can sew them together with sashing on the front, and then when we turn it you're going to end up with that sashing on the front, and both the seams underneath are going to abut against each other, and then you'll slip stitch sashing on the back. When we get to the corners and you think, what are we going to do here? All that will happen is we'll do all of these so they're all straight if we go quilt as you go, and then we'll slip stitch this shape over the top. That's the trick to it, okay? And then if we do that, we'll just talk about the best ways to get those really nice straight edges on them, or you might like to do a slightly different shape to it. I have no idea on how this is all going to go later. I've managed to shut down my whole page, but you're still here with me, so that's just really weird. We'll worry about that later. All right, who else is here this afternoon? Denise Lentil, good afternoon to you. Hello, Sally Marie, thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you. All right, there goes the iron, so I need to get moving. So we'll get to this in a tick. I've got two special requests today. I'm going to do one before I start because I've got all this fabric here on the desk, and then the other one I'm going to do after we do the wisteria. So the first one I'm going to do is for Maria Zapita. So Maria's asked me just to run through what she would use, or options for her with the Sunburnt Country using the classic floral. So I thought, well, that's something that everyone might like to see if you would like to go ahead with the Sunburnt Country kaleidoscope quilt that we are doing, or something else using classic. Now this is something that we do kind of all the time, I must admit, when we're talking to our shops that are customers from us, because we put together colour stories and what we call range deals and lots of different things for them. So I thought, well, it's a bit negligent if I don't do it for you as well, and more importantly too, because at the moment we don't have a whole heap of pre-cuts up on the website in my fabrics. That's going to be rectified very soon, and sort of, I know that a lot of people look at those an indication of what goes together with things, so we've got to get those back up. I think they didn't happen after we did the new website, did they? They were sort of the last thing on our mind, and we haven't done them. So Steve and I must get on to that. So let's go to the overhead that I did just remember to turn on. Why is this even here? I don't know why this is here. It's probably here because we've just done these cute little swatch cards to send out to you if you place an order, and with the new periwinkle on it, I think that's why it's sitting here, because these will also go out to our shop customers, and I've been cutting the fabric. So if I fill an order for you in the next few weeks and you haven't ordered periwinkle, you're going to get a little teaser bit of it in the mail to have a look at. Anyway, so this is the fabric that Maria is thinking about using for her kaleidoscope blocks for the Sunburnt Country. So like we did last week, and we will come back to later in this week, maybe even Saturday, I think. I'll have time to come back and spend some time with you. This is what she's going to use for her kaleidoscope. So not the full-on cream and orange or the red and black or the ivory and red. She's going to use this, which is going to be very, very classy and more subdued, okay? So options to go with this. Now, let's talk backgrounds first, because it's all about that blend in. So you can use straight black, obviously, with it. I don't have a bolt of black with me. Hang on, I'll grab one. Right. Didn't have the black magic. Okay. So have a look at this. If I pop that up there, you can see there is plenty of contrast. In fact, it's quite strong contrast up against a black background. More than you would imagine, really, isn't it? Considering all the background straight black. So that's option number one. If I take that away, look at the difference that makes. So this is, now I haven't tagged these under the show because I really had tagged enough. This is shimmer, and it's color 12. So if you hop into the shimmers from Northcote and have a look, you'll see it in there. So if I hold that, that's going to give you a cooler background color. So that's blending well with the lighter colors like the flannel flowers and the heliochrysums, the paler bits in the Banksias in here. But mostly sort of these colors, that's paler. And then if I take this one off, good thing about doing this with you is Maria watches it later when she gets home from work. She'll say, I want the third one you showed. And I'll have to go back and have a look. Now this is our very, very favourite creme brulee, and to me that sings. That's just perfect with it. So I think that would be, if it was me, that would be my preference, definitely, for a background for Sunburnt Country. So it's mottled and it's just got that little speck of gold. What's under here? And just to prove a point to Marie as well, this is too much. So this is Natural 6644, so Robert Kaufman Fusions. It's too much. It needs to be something a little bit plainer than that for it to work. So I'll pop that back here. Now, Sharon, I just saw what you just wrote. Did you say you liked the greens with it? Yeah, I really like the greens. Hi Jill, posted your order out this morning for you. Just in terms of coordinates as well. So we've got black flowering gum. So this, I suppose I should do this, shouldn't I? Because it's also got a contrast against the creme brulee. I hate it when I do this because then I go, oh yeah, I'll make one. Now, Sharon, you're right. Because the green with it, the olive green is the go, isn't it? Because this is so warm that I think the olive green, so this is colour 8, called Olive in my collection. That's really good. I'll be honest, I don't think I really even thought about the greens when I was designing that colour. I didn't, and I probably would have thought it went with the bright ones. That's the olive green with it. So to me, this is all very yummy. So Maria was looking for, you know, suggestions on what she could put with it, and I think the olive green is the go. I've also got out the ivory flowering gum, and it'll all go, but maybe you wouldn't pop it up against, there's not enough contrast here. It may look like it on the overhead, but there's not. But this is one of those ones, you know, we talked about putting in some of the pearl essence or some fairy frost and just some of those little triangles for sunburnt country. That would be a really good one, just to pop in little bits so that you get little more splotches of intense gold and a shift in the contrast in the background. So if this is something that you think, if you haven't chosen yet and you can't make up your mind, you think this is something you'd like, please email me, info@Chandler's Cottage, because I will pop swatches in the mail for you if you want to have a closer look. I'll just cut you a strip of each one and pop them in the mail. Because we hadn't solved this mystery yet, and I made a mistake, so I haven't solved the coordinate mystery for the teal and pink yet. I ordered the wrong color, okay? So I ordered this. This is color 640 in Toscana, and I meant to order color 64. So I had to ring Tim today and say, please pop the 64 in the mail. So I've got this gorgeous bright thing, which will not go astray, but it's not the one I want for the pink and teal. So that will arrive tomorrow. So as soon as it gets here, I'll pop in. I'll be good to pop in tomorrow, just from the cutting room or from here, and I'll show it to you with the pink and teal. So if you're still waiting for that, I will get it done. The original pale green flannel flower print looked great with the classic. It would too, Carol. You're all giving us now flannel flower envy because it's out of print. That's not fair. Do we need to check? Hello, Kerry Lee. What did I send you this morning? Oh, I sent you your Be Mindful Club pack. Hello, Nancy. Oh, you didn't get a notification, Nance. That's a bit sad. So Carol's got green flowering, green flannel flowers. No, the mint won't go. Or the pear flowering gum won't go though, because I think it's too pale. Do we have a look? Let's just check. No, sorry. I don't have one. I have to go to the storage facility, the wholesale department, to find one, and I'm not going to make you wait while I do that. But it might go. I'm not sure. But it might. So if you've got a bit of that really lovely light mint in your collection, and you've got classic on the way, or you've got it, just check that out. But I love that warm, it's that real kind of bush nighttime colour thing. I can't tell you what I'm doing and why I need to remember that colourway, because it's not for me. I'm doing it for someone else. You'll find out eventually, I'll tell you. Okay, transfer papers back in stock. I have tagged it. I've only got 3 spare, because by the time I fill all of the back orders, there's still only 3 left, and that's all that they had in the States at my distributor. So if you've been waiting on one of these and you've got an order in, please don't order again. I've got yours out there to send. These arrived today, so I will send it. And if you do want to grab one, grab one. I'm not sure when we're going to be able to get them in again. What else did I have to tell you quickly before we do the wisteria? This is, I'm trying to be really organized this year. This is the fabric and cord pack for the project for March in the 2023 calendar. So it's for this. So if you have your calendar and you didn't buy the package of all of the kits for it, then you might like to grab one of these. So I've popped them up. I've got about 9. Poor Diane Pesselman and Felicity finally got theirs in the mail. Express posted, because I just had debacles with thread colours, then the scissors were wrong, and then anyway. So I was able to scrape up literally 9 of these Pretty sure it's 9 that I've put up. It's 7 or 9. But if you wanted to grab one, please do, and it's going to make that up from your calendar. Now with this one, only grab this if you've got the calendar. There's no point in grabbing it without, because it doesn't come with the pattern. You might be in a quilter's life and therefore you've got the pattern anyway as part of your membership, or you might have bought the pattern separately in the past, or a slightly different version you might have. There was one that we did a long time ago with little gum nuts and things on it, but this is only going to be useful for you if you've got the calendar or you've got the pattern. So it's still got March inside. So I've popped them up today because we'll be doing this around the 1st of March. So I thought it would be really nice, like we're doing with the Baltimore now, if you wanted to grab it early and then you can make it along with me. Because these kits are so precious, I've got a couple of other fabrics that I'm going to do for the demo, and then we'll have different kits available. But if you want that one, they are up. There's one bright Mexican stripe trio purse kit left. I just like to tell you, it's not a panic buy thing. I just like to tell you because I hate you to come back in a month and say, oh, I missed out. I'd rather tell you you're about to miss out. Well, that just still doesn't work, does it? Sorry, still doesn't work. Anyway, I've got one of those left. I've got 3 sets of tins left, so I put them up because I just thought, hello Christine, I posted you a club kit today too, because look at them with the colours and the berry wickle. Look at the berry wickle. So pretty happy about that. Who'd I miss? Glennis Foster, good afternoon to you. Hello Tina, how are you? Are you good? Maria Porter, hello, welcome. Glad you're here. The other thing that's about to run out. So my bestest matey Maria in Valencia has just ordered the last hurrah of Orange Melba fans, and I'm not going to reprint this one. I know, but I'm not. So there's only about 5 meters left of this. So this is also another thing. If you wanted it in your Melba collection stash, if you had plans for this in the future, it's just about gone. One of the reasons I'm not redoing it, oh my God, I absolutely love it, but I'm not at the moment. No, I'm not. I've got to be strict. Is because we have 2 good orange flowering gums that equally go with Melba as they do with Under the Australian Sun. So this is on its way out. So if you wanted some of that, please grab what's there, and then it's gone here and on the plane to Spain. Okay, now with our I don't know, I'm so nervous about, why was I so nervous about today? I don't know. I think it's just because I'm on my own. I think that's what it is. There are days here where there's just someone here every day. It's either Rob, or it's Emma, or it's Steve, or it's Phil, or it's Margaret, or it's someone. And then when you get a day on your own, it's a really strange, surreal feeling to be on your own. And then I feel like you're all here in the room. And then when I get in here, you're not here. I mean, I know you're here virtually, but you're not here. So I get nervous. I think it'd be much easier if you were all, actually you wouldn't fit. You wouldn't all fit in here, but you know what I mean. It would be easier if we were all together. Like in a hall. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Oh no, I didn't fit. I promised you I would finish the peacock version of the soiree purse. I'm so sorry. Sitting next door. I'm really sorry. Show it to you tomorrow when that fabric rocks up. Sorry. I will. Oh, Tina's all good. Ruth Shanks, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. What's happened to Emma? She's around, Sharon, she's around, but she's just really, really busy with her, she has another job. She has what we call the real job. She has another job, and it's really, really busy at the moment, and she's, you know, flying high in the education system. So she comes when she can, but she's actually still doing a lot of sewing and things for me at home. And at the moment, we don't want her here, because while she's here, she's not at home quilting Midnight Melba, and we all want Midnight Melba finished and bound. so we can get started. So she's sort of here, but she does a lot of pattern editing and things for me, but hard for her to get here on a Tuesday or any day. She's working, so yeah, I get to play with her, but you don't. Does that make sense? But Margaret is coming down in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to get her in. She's got some gorgeous new stuff she's doing, and her projects for soiree. Oh my goodness me. There is wheat, there's lavender, and it's all absolutely beautiful. So yes, don't worry, she's all right, Sharon. She's all right. She's just busy. Do you feel our presence in Carol says, do you feel our presence in the room? We are all over the place pulling out fabric. And can you imagine if I let you all loose in the cutting room? Actually, I can imagine that. Maybe when we move house, we need a moving sale. Then you'd know where I lived. Definitely not doing it until we're moving, so we don't tick off the landlord. I have to tell you, because we're renting, you know how when you rent you have house inspections? We've actually got one Thursday. Oh goodness. No, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. So we were really nervous the first time we had house inspection here, even though our gorgeous landlord Wayne was totally in support of us moving the business into the home, to the point where he cleaned out his shed out the back garden so we had more room. He's been really, really good. But we were still really nervous about it, and the lovely lady that is in charge of doing house inspections, I won't mention her name, walked in, and she walked through, and we were all here just, you know, being really quiet and trying to do things in the kitchen and everything, and she walks back and she goes, "Are you Chandler's Cottage?" She's a patchworker. She used to come into the shop in Beaumaris. So I don't need to be nervous about inspections, because I have a patchworker coming to inspect. And I told you about the FIFO chicken, didn't I? We had a guy rock up to the door from the court opposite with a highline chicken under his arm going, "Is this your chicken?" And I've gone, "Robert, do the head count." And it wasn't our chicken. She was a FIFO chicken whose wings had been, I told you, been clipped both sides so she could still balance and fly. And her owner rocked up to get her and walked through the back and go, "You're a patchwork shop." I can't win. Everyone does patchwork. Very funny. Okay, here we go. Last one. Now, I left this to the last because they are the smallest pieces. Okay, we're all aware of that. So I just want to make sure that you're still all fine with everything that we have done before. And I want you to go back and have a look at previous versions, whether they're recorded on A Quilter's Life, whether you're pulling them off YouTube, wherever you're looking. But with this one in particular, if you are trying out different techniques each time that we do one, then this might be the time when you have a go at machine. You might actually really think, okay, this time round I'm going to have a go at doing mine by machine, or even raw edge with hand blanket stitch. I'm just going to fold this down so that you can see. I'll pop that there like that, so you can see what the whole circle looks like. So this is the same as all our other blocks. In fact, this one is quite a definite circle in many ways because of all of the leaves. You'll just want to make sure that you get your orientation right. So for some reason, I don't know, but I remember a long time ago, I had a lot of quilts that were finished with their wisteria going up, but it's actually, as you well know, wisteria's got to hang down, so the block actually goes up that way. I think it threw people, and look, it's probably throwing me now, because the way that we put it together in the pattern, see that we've got all of the A's and B's, all the letters up this way. Yep, that's probably why. So this is the way that it's going to go on your quilt. Either way, you're going to applicate all first anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So that's going to go there. So in the pack, if you've grabbed one, now remember, if you are a Quilter's Life member, you get all of this as part of your membership. Can you see what I'm doing? Doing the quick cut. Do the quick cut. So in a Quilter's Life, if you go to quilterslife.podia.com. So this is an online club I run by a company called Podia. So Podia is like, it's like a platform, a website platform. So when you go to info@chandlerscottage.com, the platform we run it through is the Chandler's Cottage website. Podia is a company, and they run it all for us. Super secure for all of your credit card numbers, and good afternoon, Doreen, and you know, all of your information. They're really, really good, and they're very helpful with us when you have problems. And you know, we've got Cass as well, that is a guru on A Quilter's Life and Podia now to help us when we need it. Megan says, I'm out lunching with girlfriends, we'll watch later. Well, excuse me, it's a bit late, Meg. Good afternoon, Vicky. So what I would love you to, oh, that's not what I meant to do to you, sorry. What I'd love you to do with this one is maybe have a little bit of an experiment around. If you're in A Quilter's Life, then you can print out multiple copies and just have a play. You might like to reduce the size of it as well and use it as a stitchery. I mean, very, very pretty. And as you know, we have the Oriental blue work pattern that is the smaller stitched version. No, Jen, no, not now. Really? God. Really? Seriously? Get off. Just that way. Thank you. So it works really well as a stitchery, but with this one, I actually want to set this up today as raw edge for you, just to, with a little bit of steamer seam, to have a little bit of a play. Now in your fluff ball, in your kits you have, look, while she's got a shadow over that, we'll just come back this way. You know, if you've got a cat, you don't fight with the cat, you just let the cat make up its own mind when it's time to go, because if I try and push her off, everything's going to go everywhere. So in your kit, you've got 3 different colours. When I actually put up the photo for today's show, for the first time ever, I edited the colours of the poor block behind me. As I mentioned, it's the most faded block, and I think it's because it was up high, sitting up high on shop walls, and the ones at the bottom copped the most light. So it's, the poor little thing's very, very faded. So the ones that you'll get in your kit are much more vibrant than what you can see here, because they would have originally been those sort of colours. So you've got light, medium and dark. Run the dark at the top. I'll hold these up for you like that. So you'll have the dark one up here. Then I'd pop the Fairy Frost in the middle ones, and then I would pop the other batik down the bottom. In this version, we had this batik up here. I don't even know what that was. I'm assuming it was a lilac-y batik, a little bit like this one. But now, since we did this last time, we've got this beautiful new Fairy Frost. So I would put that in the middle, and then I'd run the palest batik at the bottom. And then you just need one green, and then get into your stash of DMC threads for the stems and things that are on the block. And the stems are all these ones here, and then I would also use them to do the veins. So you've got the nice little curly bits to do with stem stitch and things in there. I'm going to mess with your heads though a little bit today, I hope. It was a bit dramatic, wasn't it? It was a bit better homes and gardenish. So I want to have a little bit of a play and do something a bit different. I'm going to fussy cut the colours for some wisteria from Periwinkle, obviously, and also from the Periwinkle background butterflies, which are on special today because they go with the Periwinkle, which is now all in stock, and all of your orders, if you had pre-orders in for it, have left the building. Now I hoped I do have a good pair of scissors here. So what I'm going to do first of all is steal a bit off here. So I've popped up today on, I've tagged today on the website and popped on Spesh, right, a few fabrics that all go with Periwinkle, so the ones that are on the stand. So you've got the blue butterflies. Block your ears if you don't like tearing. you never get torn fabric. If fabric is ever torn here, it is always tidied up with the rotary cutter. Isn't okay? You got to go. Go this way. Up you go. Thank you. We always tidy it up. Sometimes we do if it's a big yardage, and then we tidy it up at the end. So you can see this colour here goes absolutely perfectly with periwinkle, which I'm about to just chop a bit off. This bit on the wall is mine, okay? So Stephen will not be finding a bit that's got a big chunk out of it. So here's the plan. I'm actually going to use this with this, and then I'm going to use a bit of ombre for the other bit. So I've got a bit up here. This is our beautiful periwinkle coloured ombre that I've popped back under the tag. Remember, I always got a bit of this usually, because the bolt we've currently got, or two bolts that we've got, they wound it inside out, so I can't just drape it over the stand. So if you have a look at these, I mean, if you're doing your own stash and you really like the periwinkle, you can see how all of this works really well together. So you could actually just use the whole ombre if you wanted to, rather than chopping up 3 different fabrics. So I'm going to trace out some of these pieces onto our steamer seam. In terms of a green to go with these, I probably would go for that pear flowering gum, or a little bit of, this is celadon, something like that, celadon or leaf. Will you just bear with me for a minute, just 2 ticks. I think I know what's happened. Ginny can't get out. Are you going up? Because I've shut all the windows for the aircon. Out you go. Quick, quick, quick. Thank you. Out, out. I'm shutting the window again, so you better be sure about it. Right. So, if only I could edit stuff like that out. So, I'll put my pants. Here we go. So a really nice crisp leaf green works really well with periwinkle, but you can see from these ones that I've got up here as well that you can even go into a real teal colour if you wanted to. That mint is lovely as well, probably, that we've got the teal coloured Melba fans. Just one thing you've got to remember with that though is that it's got silver on it instead of gold. So if you are going to mix up your periwinkle with that, you've just got to be happy that you've got silver and gold happening at the same time. Okay. Carol, good question. All right, so your best thing for raw edge, hands down, is as you know, because you've just done not 1 but 2 Be Mindfuls, raw edge batiks, hand down, the best. Next to that, you just want really nice fine fabrics, fine and tight weave. So to that end, with Fairy Frost, I think periwinkle will be fine. Let me just have a feel. They do change from time to time. I think the periwinkle will be fine. Just keep your can you hear that? Ginny's gone outside and there's birds everywhere. I think keep your blanket stitch really nice and fine and small, just so that it doesn't get that opportunity to kick up on the edges. So we'll do a bit. We can have a go if you want. We'll have a look and see how it works. I'll just trace these. Okay. So we'll take off, I want to be able to give you a little bit of a representation of a couple of different ones. So I'm going to take off one of those, and I'm going to number it so I know which one it is, and I'll do one a little bit further down. So I've actually given them letters, and that corresponds to which colours they are. So that would be a B, and then I'll do an A. Okay, and we'll call that 2, we'll call that 2, and then we want one from further, we'll do one from further down, just so we can get a look at how the different colours and the fabrics work. So that's C, we'll make that 3, and make that 3. This is actually, you know, Carol, we've got to I've got to have a really good play, because when we do move on to doing the Japanese Baltimore, and I really want to do that this year because I've been watching Natasha run it, and it's been really lovely to see it, you know, up in bright lights in the UK. But as I look at it, I only ever made one, so I'm really keen to do another one, and I don't want to run traditional fabric selection, if I can call it that, from like we've done with the Oriental Baltimore. I want to go quite modern and monochromatic, so I'm hoping that I can run with just, for each block, one neutral coordinate colour perhaps, and an ombre, because it's very different. It's a non-floral quilt, so it's butterflies and money bags and a gong. There's hemp foliage. Oh, there's a whole heap, cranes. So it's very different. There's foliage, but there's no flowers. So I'm really keen to do something a bit different. Maybe an ombre and a green grey for each block, or I don't know. Or it's probably an ombre and a fairy frost for each block. From a point of view for you using your stash and everything, of course that's fantastic, because you've only got to look for 2 fabrics. So I'm hoping that will work. Alright, if we're going to use this one, and this is, you know, this is about technique, but it's just also about playing with fabric. So if I'm using the background from here and this one, then from my ombre, and please no judgment for me cutting this up, because I do know what I'm using the rest for. Look at that, that gives us a really good colour. Always have a look at your scraps that you've got left over from fabrics, because a lot of the time, if they're like mine, they've got a very subtle shaded background. So sometimes we throw the bits that are left because you've only got the background, not the motifs left. But sometimes those backgrounds for little things like this can be fantastic to use. So just have a look, and if you want to get a grip on whether the background is shaded or not, because sometimes you can't, when you're up close, you can't see it until you stand right back. Have a look at the selvage, and you'll be able to see 1 or 2 shades of black or brown. Then you know that there is a subtle shade to it that's going to show up in the light when the quilt is made. Or if it's just got 2 or 3 screens of jet black, it's not. I think with creams it's really good to do that, to have a look as well. Oh, update, sorry, after I gave you the update on strike-offs the other day on the big Waratah prints, the guys in LA got my samples back, and because when I spoke to you I thought they were actually going straight to Japan, but they went back to LA, and we've reviewed them all, and now they've gone back to the factory in Japan. Just peeling the back off my steamer seam, and we are getting a 4th strike off. Didn't think we were, did we? But we are getting a 4th. They are insistent that we get it right. So we're getting a 4th, and it's due in 2 weeks on the 28th. So we'll be able to have an update. Okay, so I'll pop this on the back of our palest. So that's on there. Fire up that iron. Lois, it is muggy today. It is absolutely muggy. Now this is going to be a medium. So with this, I thought this would be really fun to see what happens if I orientate, just look on the front. I'm going to orientate my wisteria flower petal so that that little bit of the fan's at the top and the rest of it comes down. So we'll see how that turns out. There's a little bit of steamer seam there on the edge, so I'm going to nick that off so the iron doesn't hit it. And then for our darkest one on the ombre, on here. Now, if you wanted to do this sort of thing, and also add in that periwinkle that I've got up the top, you could. So that with these looks, you know, they're all in that same blue purple family. Look at that with them. So you could mess with my design easily and add a fourth shade in if you've got a little bit of periwinkle fairy frost in your collection. And if you really love your true purples, I mean, you could use this as well. So you could be fussy cutting your wisteria if you've got this in your stash. Your wisteria petals, oh sorry, your wisteria petals from here, easily. Maybe do that and then add in, no, what you do with that, if you've got purple flowering gum in your stash, these two would be great to use together for them. That'd work really well. Or you could use these two, and then there will be areas on butterfly wings that you, look at this, look at that, you could actually fussy cut out of the wings to give you a medium shade of purple as well. Pop these back up. There we go. Okay, so we'll just hit these quickly with the iron. I'll just put this bit of fabric underneath. I'm really sorry. Oh, is that right? Oh yeah. I'm really sorry I didn't finish off that brooch bag. I have been doing heaps of soiree stuff, and I just forgot to do it. I've actually been working on the next project and I forgot to finish that one off. I'll just cut these out and we can have a look at them. And just before the show, the bags arrived. This is how organised we're trying to be this year because the three of us are so busy. Karen leaves on about the 25th of February and she's back a week and a half before the soiree in March. So she's going flat out to get stuff done, get her kits and projects done beforehand. And Margaret's away as well, so we're going really, really fast. So the bags arrived today that are all autumn themed, to pop all of the 3 kits each day into. And we've also designed the swing tags for your names to go on the bags. The table decorations have arrived, all designed and arrived, so we're well on the way. And I ordered today the rest of the things for my Christmas soiree projects. So all of that big planning stuff's happening. Don't even get me started on advent calendars. Okay, let's have a look at how these look, and I want you to be able to see a little bit closer than that, so I'll move the iron. You know, so these are little bits, aren't they? They are really little bits. But okay. One. So I'm just going to position these just freestyle. so we can see how they're going to look. In terms of colour. So we've got light, medium, dark. So you'll do exactly the same with the ones if you've got your kit. And if you don't have a kit and you're in a quilter's life and you've got your pattern, then you might like to have just look at your stash a little bit differently and see what you've got that might work as 3 shades of either this or a periwinkle blue. But don't forget, there's also there is real pink wisteria. Rob and I, at great expense to the establishment, planted one in the front of our garden of our first house. That was called Chandler's Cottage, and we had a pink one. So you might even like to have a pink wisteria if you've got soft, lovely soft pinks on a dark background for yours. So that's another option that you could do. Yeah, lovely soft. If you've got an Applique Essential Dusky Pink pack, you've got all you need. Everything will be in there that you could use. A lot of you will also have periwinkle, blue, purple Applique Essential packs. So just have a think about those as well. Okay, I'm going to pop my little bit of folded up butterfly fabric under here. You know, we don't intentionally feed the birds outside the window that you can hear for special effects, and it is not a recording. It's because this old house has big fruit trees and they have grown up above the roof line, so we can't get to that fruit, and it's just a buffet up there for all the birds from the water reserve down the road. So that's what's going on. Okay, there we go. So they're all on. Now, if you are going to do these by machine, you remember what we've done in the past where we've actually put a stabilizer underneath and we've popped it in a hoop. I would, if you don't have dual feed on your machine, which I don't with my machine that's in here, then you might want to pop yours in a hoop. So I'm popping some adhesive lightweight tearaway underneath. Okay. Also in a quilter's life, I'm going to start experimenting with using lightweight tearaway for applying quilting designs and things, which is what Eileen Campbell taught me. So I'll probably see you tomorrow for that, as well as getting a geisha pattern up for you before, yeah, tomorrow, definitely. Because I've given you heaps to start with, but you'll get it, because I want to use that technique for the January project for the calendar next year. It's the only way that I can actually apply it effectively to what I'm doing. So we'll be doing that as well. So we actually use the tearaway on top with our pattern to sew through, rather than just using it as a stabilizer underneath. What did I eat for lunch? I'm so thirsty. What days you just go, why am I so thirsty? Okay, we really want to just iron this on so that it sticks. Now I have to be super careful because I've got my board underneath, so just a very, very, very quick run over with the iron so I don't buck on my board. And then we go big hoop underneath, so it's the reverse. You almost can't see that periwinkle, can you? And then little hoop on top, so it's in reverse. Make sure that's all in. And then it's actually going to sit down flat on the table. So just find a little screw. There's nothing technical about these hoops, just they are just the cheap and cheerful bamboo hoops. We've got a few on the website, but I'm sure a lot of you have got them. A lot of my mates, Karen, oh, I think it's Karen McGregor's birthday today. I better text her. Or it was yesterday and I may have missed it. But I've seen Karen, she winds a ribbon around hers to stop it dragging on her work or catching on her work. She has a lot of silk, really cool silk stuff, so that you might want to do that, but I must admit I've never got round to it. So that's hooped up. nice and tight like a drum. And now when I run it under my machine, I'm going to get a really nice tight tension. I've only got white cotton over here to put in, but I think in terms of showing you how it works, that'll be absolutely fine. So I'll pop that in. Now the other thing I wanted to do today is Rosemary asked me about doing mitered corners, and I went, sure, I'll do it as a demo. I haven't done a mitered corner probably since the last time I made a Lady Grey quilt with Melba, and I've made a couple. I'm trying to think. I know one's in Spain by the UK, and I can't remember where the other one is. It's out somewhere. But I've made two, and they are, the instructions in Lady Grey are really, really good for mitered corners, because one of the inner borders we actually miter. So I've pulled the pattern out, I've put it on special, I've put it under today's show, and I've also put the kit up. I don't know why the kit wasn't up, so I've actually put the kit up, and I've put the kit on special for Lady Grey, and I've put the pale grey border stripe on for today, because I feel a jigsaw puzzle all coming together of why it was offline and everything. I didn't think we had any big stock of the grey on those ROT rolls that I show you and pop on special every now and then. I had a full grey one, so I've actually popped it up today for you. I'm going to take you to the machine, and you're not going to be able to see anything because the camera's not at the right angle, so I'll just fix it for you. I think we were using it yesterday. There we go. Alright, so first thing is, usually you need to take your foot off to be able to get your hoop under. But sometimes the edges of the hoop are too tall to get underneath that foot, so that's one thing you'll need to do. I like to bring with this sort of work, I like to bring my thread up from underneath. So I'm going to set my machine onto a blanket stitch, excuse me, and I'm not going to use the default setting. I'm probably going to play like my Be Mindful Michelle Hill friends play, so I'll take it right down to about 2 inches long and not very wide, probably about, why does the machine, oh, sorry, I've got an open toe foot on, but I haven't told my machine that. Still thinks I've got a 37 on. There we go. So I've set it for 2 long and 2 wide, and we'll just see what we get. So we'll go needle down, needle up, and then I'll pull my thread through and get that up and out of the way. The white's, I mean, it's sacrilege, I know, but the white's pretty good because then you'll be able to see it on this dark one. Alright, so I can immediately see, Carol, that this is not going to be small enough if I was running a Fairy Frost. And you've got a few options. You could just choose a really nice periwinkle coloured thread in embroidery or cotton. You could get all fancy and run metallic gold, which would be gorgeous. Or you could run monopoly clear, and then you won't be able to see what you've got at all. Okay. And always remember to pivot or turn when you're on the outer edge of your work, or otherwise you'll end up with open V's in your blanket stitch. I know I've said that before and I'm probably a broken record. Alright, so that's 1.8 by 1.8. I'm actually going to go small. I'm going to go down to 1.6 for the other half. No, still not happy. Probably because I can see so much of my thread. I'm going to leave it at 1.6 long, and I'm going to drop the width to 1.2. Now I'm happy. So that's 1.2 wide and 1.6 long. pull it out and I'll show you. Can I get off? Can I? Nope. I don't know why I would think I could when I usually can't. I'll bring this over and show you. Okay, so can you see that? So you can see the bigger side down there, and there's the smaller one. And right up here, that's where I'm happy. So 1.2 wide, 1.6 long. Now for any detail in the middle, if you want to add some stamens in and things, just straight stitch or triple stitch, back stitch in here will do the trick. Now with this one, let's go back and we'll just do it Eileen Campbell style, and we will do it with a satin stitch or a zigzag stitch. So I'll pop that back under there, pick up my foot off the floor, let me pop this back on. Okay. I've had a few queries. Well, I just while I think of it, I'm being lazy, aren't I? Because I'm answering questions on Facebook, and I do reply by email too. But I've had a few questions about being mindful if we'll run it again. We've actually run it 3 times. We've run 2 full mail-out clubs, and we've also run it on as a paid Podia course, separate to club membership. I think that'll be it for us, and then I would refer you back to Michelle if you want to do it, because there's a lot of other stuff that we've got happening this year that I haven't revealed yet. But there is, before we did Michelle's, I had an Australian raw edge, a bushland quilt on my drawing board, and at the time I just couldn't get it together. So I think we'll now hold out until I get that done. And that will be out later this year, and for reasons I can't tell you, I have to wait for something to be finished, and then we'll release that and we'll run that. So we probably won't for now, but I can always put you in touch with the guys that know who else are running it. Now this is now zigzag, and I have gone, oh, it's very small, I've gone only 5 long, so 1/2 mil long and 1.6 wide. And that is probably not even as tight as what Eileen Campbell runs at. Hang on, let's go down to 0.4 long. So having it in this hoop just makes it so much easier to keep your tension nice with the stabilizer underneath. And you can see it makes it really easy to turn as well, because you can just sort of use the hoop as a steering wheel. Same as blanket stitch though, always pivot on the outside. You can't do it while you're moving, just stop on the outside and pivot. So if you are doing Being Mindful, you'll have some stuff that you've done with blanket stitch, and if you follow what some of the pictures that you see of the quilt blocks, you may have actually done some with satin stitch like this. This is a really neat finish. But as I said, you've got to get your tension right, so you really do need to stabilise. And for this, I would definitely stabilise with a paper tearaway rather than weft, because weft is fantastic because it does move, but you know, when you're doing linens and things like that. But in this case, you don't want it to move. You don't want any stretch or movement. Oh, camera's not happy. There you go. I'll set that there. So you can see that. And the camera's going, there's too much shiny gold. So there you go. So really nice and small. Just experiment and see how small you can go. If you want to feel for what your machine is capable of with zigzag as well, have a look at the default settings for the buttonhole stitches. Go in and have a look at those, and that will take some of the guesswork out for you. And particularly with the digital machines, when you actually push, you're going to do a blanket stitch, you'll be able to see the width and the length that it's going to run with, and you know that that's going to give you a really good narrow tight blanket stitch. So that's one way of knowing what the machine thinks it can do or it's capable of doing. So there's two options for you for doing raw edge work, and I think you'll be fine. With the instructions as well, for your leaves you're going to do what we've done in the past, which is bag them out for some, and the others are going to get pre-shaped onto your freezer paper or onto your polyfuse to run with them. I can't help doing that. It's just so nice having this here now, and that it goes with those butterflies. Though sometimes you might feel like you've got gaps in your stash. I feel exactly the same way. There are gaps. But I think, having done that little bit of experiment too, this is all you need. You could just do it with the one ombre. Maybe the ombre and the butterflies together would look really lovely too. Alright, so I'll pop that to the side. Yeah, so you've got 3D leaves up here, if you wish, that are just like you've done up here on the bamboo in the past, and you've done them in lots of other spots on the quilt. And these leaves here are not going to be any different to doing these ones that you've got up here. So I'm very confident you'll be fine. And you got any questions, you know, just to email me. That's perfectly fine. Now the other thing, Rosemary asked, as I said, about mitered corners. So I said, we'll just do one. And I went, it's been a while. So I've put Lady Grey, as I said, is under today's show banner. If I didn't check the show banners up, I'm assuming it's up, and if not, the search word for today is Wisteria. So you just put that into the search window and it will bring up everything that we've talked about. In these instructions on page 2, there are mitered corner instructions for the inner border of the border stripe. Makes sense, does it? The first major feature print border. I don't know, I'll show you. So this one here, you can see there's a little bit of a mirror image happening up here because these have been mitered together. So on page 2 we have super duper instructions. So I'm going to hopefully not take up too much of your time, but show you a little demo on how this works. So as I said, featuring the grey today, and I've popped the grey up because I've got a bolt of ROT rolled on tube, and while it means they're a little less expensive for us, so we can do specials for you every now and then. Steve and I must admit, are a bit over handling the heavy the heavy tubes. So I'm not sure we're going to do them again. I'm not sure, I don't know. But we do have one here, so I popped it on special. You'll know if you've got fabric from an ROT, because it won't have that quite predominant fold line in the middle. So wherever we could for sunburnt country, we actually took it from tubes rather than, which is why I was on special, tubes rather than the bolts. So I'm going to cut a bit of this baby out here because I want to give you an idea of how they work. Essentially, I can do it with one length because of course we're mirror imaged on the other side, and the pattern actually uses this one, but I'm going to come down and just do a demo with the medium one in the middle instead. You can do it with any of them, and the main thing to remember with a miter is, of course, that you need a lot more than you do if you're doing a straight corner. You need to allow a lot more. So this quilt's got the mitered one in here, but when we get out to these other borders, we've got corner blocks, so it doesn't happen there. We still make sure we center the design. So you can see we've centered the flowering gum and the waratahs on there, but we don't need to worry about the corners as much. They just sit where they fall. So this quilt was, I know why the quilts went up, because I said to Steve when we first when we went to put this pattern up with a new website, I said don't put it up because I'm going to remake it in the black and pink when it arrives with something different in the middle, and I just haven't done it. I still want to do it. It'll still be very different to Midnight Melba that Emma's doing in the black and pink, but I think that's what happened. In the meantime, I'd love another Lady Grey. I do miss having this quilt around. She's quite calming in these colours. So let's do one in this border. Now if I wanted to stop here, usually we'd only need to cut to there, but because we're going to miter it out, we need about 1.5 times the width of this. So this is 6.5. I want at least another 4 inches. So I'm actually going to cut just generously out to here on this side, and just out to here on this side, because I haven't done the maths to work it out exactly for you. So I'm going to come out to about here. And we'll chop through this bit. I know you hate it when I do that, but there you go. Alright, so I need 2 of these, don't I? Okay, I've got to grab I want my creative grids. I don't want it to slip. Okay. So these borders here I did at 6.5 without taking in this bit out on the edge. And these are 1/2 inch wide. So if you wanted to go out wider, you could, and just go 1/4 inch through each of these, and this little wattle border would disappear if you into the seam allowance. But if you don't want to do that, you can just sit your ruler right up against the tips of the flowers on this side and scoot through there. Like that. So I tend to follow the design on one side because I know that it's 6.5, and then I'll flip it around the other way. I've got little bits of it in, but it doesn't matter. Then I'll just set up my ruler on this side, because I also made sure when we designed it that we had 1/2 inch here and here, so I know I can confidently get in my 1/4 inch seam allowance and still have a 1/4 inch of the background showing before I hit the flowers. This design, I am not messing with this. When we do the Scottish range this year, yeah, okay, if John's watching, I'm in big trouble because I haven't started it. Well, I have, but I haven't. Good afternoon, Robin. Hello, Michelle. Bronwyn, you snuck in when I was jabbering away. Hello, Wendy and Janelle. Christine, welcome. Oh, Christine Davey, you're here too. Awesome. Okay, everyone's here. So when we do the Scottish range, I am not messing much with this layout. We are pretty much going for the same dimensions and everything of borders, because I'm not saying I got it right first time, I fluked it first time, and I just think it'll be nice to do just different flowers and know that we've got a whole heap of quilt patterns that already work. So these are becoming thistles. The roses are becoming English style. I'm not English, what am I trying to say? White Rose, Scotland, all that. Bonnie Prince Charles, can't think straight, but you know what I mean. There'll be heather, so there'll be English Scottish wildflowers, and the kaleidoscope design from Melba will become Celtic knots. So they'll actually, it actually won't change that much. Surprisingly, it will look very similar, but the colours, of course, will be different. There'll be a coffee and plum, and there's a teal and red. So all of those thoughts are worked on while I'm bottling peaches. It's true. Okay, I've got one. So there's my middle there that I'm going to use, and probably that goes there. Well, I can probably got enough to do either or. No, I'm going to use this one. So that's going to be the middle, and I'm going to come out to about here. So what I'm going to do to demonstrate it, I'm going to grab just a piece of the small floral. I do wonder sometimes when you get remnants bags, Pam's Creative Packs, I go, oh, I've got the bit from, I've got the bit from when she demoed how to do the mitered corners or how to do kaleidoscope stuff. Oh, you're not getting my kaleidoscope stuff. I take that back because I'm actually making that quilt. Let me cut this properly. But you know what I mean. I wonder if you have a bit of a guess about what which demo you got bits from, or which leftovers from which kits. Or I've actually had to stop myself putting things in the remnants basket at the moment because they're new things for calendars or advent calendars or whatever, and I go, oh, no, I don't want someone to get that this year, because then they might go, oh, I know what I'm getting in my advent. Well, you won't know what you're getting, you don't know which pattern you're getting, but you might have a fair guess at what colours you're going to get. So I've diligently stashed all of the excess pieces in my studio for now. What we are doing this year too, I do need extras because for the advent calendar, if you're in a Quilter's Life every day at 10 o'clock in December, I'm going to hop on and do a demo. So you'll have a demo every day of what you've got in your advent calendar. So you'll be able to open it in the morning, get everyone out of the way, get the dinner organised for that night, get grandkids out, whatever you need to do, and then when you're ready you'll be able to hop onto a Quilter's Life and sit down with a cuppa and you'll get a demo each day on what's in it. Yeah, I know, 25 demos, I know. Be fine, be fine. Okay, let's find a middle. So I'm going to go right in the middle of this. I don't need to do that, do I? Right in the middle of this skirt pea. Here we go. And then we need the middle of this one. So just like we were talking about before, with doing miters, you really do need to leave that seam allowance open. So this square, in many ways, Rosemary and all, is representing, it might be a 2 meter wide border, you know, it could be anything that you're working on. It's not like me to put a lot of pins in, is it? Okay. So we're going to go all the way down to here. And then on the other side on here, we're going to do exactly the same thing. So I'll pop on and just sew this seam. Okay. Oh, a foot would be good. I'll have to use my... Oh, I've cleaned up. There's been a clean up. I've only got the 20 in here. That's fine. I've got a 1/4 inch mark on my foot plate, so that's all good. Probably want to run with a, I'm going to, it's too small, I need a 3, don't I? We'll run with a 3. I usually do run with a 3 for my piecing. 3 is really good if you don't know what you're going to do for quilting later, because if you're going to in the ditch, you do want a bigger stitch so you can press your seam allowances open and get your in the ditch stitch right into the middle. But it's also good in case you're worried you might need to do a little bit of reverse sewing. It's easier to unpick, heaven forbid. Okay, so that's one side done. And I'll open this out. So I've left the seam allowance open, really important that you do. And then we can pop the other side on that joins it. What have I done? 1, 2. Heavens. So I need to find the middle again of one of those sturt peas, and we'll find the center again on here. So have you sort of got your calendar worked out for for the year? It's the dance card is filling up really quickly, isn't it? All of a sudden we're sort of, everything's going on. There's quilt shows, there's workshops to go to, there's heaps of stuff. In the same box that arrived today with the transfer paper was also a whole heap of cork, and that's really a big few for me because I've been waiting ages for it to come, and I need it for my workshop projects for Shepherd Sewing Centre, and looking at doing a couple of others, so I'll get it ready for that, and then that will be the first place that I do it, and then we'll look at a couple of other things. But it's, yeah, everything's filling up really quick. Okay, what I've done here, so you can see I've pinned right into the same spot there as where my seam allowance finished from the other side, because I want this second piece that I'm putting on to perfectly match up in the corner. Trying to sound like I know what I'm doing. I haven't done one of these forever. You know, look at that. I just had that feeling it wasn't working as well, and I've obviously, I do know what I was doing on here. I was doing something with sticky stuff underneath, and I had a little bit of gunk on my needle. Remember I said to you, always clean your needles. But I've obviously walked away forgetting that last step. My speed's not on full. I don't know what we would. Oh, we've been playing with machine embroidery. That's what we would do. Okay. I don't think that little bit of applique that I just did before would have been enough to put the gunk on, because I know what I was doing previously. Alright. So I want to let me just give those seams a bit of a set. I've always had this thing. Again, I was going to do it when the black got here. I really wanted to do a quilt design where we did all mitered borders around different size blocks with the 3 different border sections. So all the blocks ended up the same size. Does that make sense? So the mitered, the ones that have got the big border, would be quite fat, almost like one of those artish frames where you have the miniature picture or painting in the middle. So that one would be pretty much all border and just a little center, and then you'd get the middle one that's half, and then the outer one you'd have more in the middle showing, and then do little, yeah, I know. But I've always thought that would be really fun. It would be a great way to do a study of different mitered corners with this fabric. In a way, it would almost come up like a kaleidoscope effect, really. Just waiting for the iron. Here we go. So we'll just set that one and this other one. Which one oh yeah. Set this one. See how that was a little bit of a pull there? That's from the gunk on that needle. Okay, so I want to read the instructions, because then press one, press one under the other. Okay, that's right. So the first thing that we do is actually press one under the other. So I need to put my board up under here, make sure that my seam allowance is going outwards. So setting that seam like I just did first is really important. This is where I hold my breath and actually make sure that I had put the second border on up the right way. Okay, so that's going to go under there, and then I'll just turn this and give this a press. Now I can see an error in my ways already. I'm not going to go back and fix it, but I had my machine set to cut my thread at the end, but not to do a finishing stitch, and you really do need a finishing stitch or a reverse. So please just make sure you do that. Ha! You're so funny, Heather. I need to buy that. Well, it's just, as I said, Melba was kind of a fluke. I designed it in 3 days at Mum and Dad's place when they lived in Bullin down Gippsland. I was just, I don't know, right frame of mind, and it was just a fluke. So I'm not going to try and reinvent the wheel. Can you see that now? So I've got one sitting underneath the other. And then I'm going to read it to you. So we then fold under and back the one on top until it's at a 45-degree angle, and the design in the border strips match. You get the feeling I didn't write that. That's just got Bowman written all over it, hasn't it? That's Emma. So we're going to fold this one back. Now the great thing is when you do this 45-degree fold back, the one that's actually, sorry, I'll move it up for you, the one that's been flipped, I'm trying to set it on my ironing board at the same time. Let me take that out. The one that has been turned under, when you get that right, its sides are going to align with the other one underneath. So, can you hear that? Meow. Let me in, Mum. No. Okay. See that? So it's going to sit perfectly like that. What I suggest you to, again, I'm going to risk my board. This board is going out to be the new cutting board, so I'll just risk it for a biscuit. So when I iron it like that, you can see that it sits nice and flat. You've got a 45-degree angle. Ginny, did you want to come in? This has got to stop this in through the studio window thing, madam. So that's going to sit nicely. Now, the best thing to do at this stage is pin it. Just so you know where it is and you're really happy with it. Do all of them first before you jump to that next step, and make sure that you are happy. Alright. But it actually would look quite effective with some fabrics, just to do the corner thing and have a mitre here, so you've got a whole heap. Keezy, you've done some of those, haven't you, where you get that sort of shadow box effect? I'm sure you have. Anyway, so that is a way to hold it in place. Then from here you've got a couple of options. So one option that I learnt to do first off, I think Chris Sarong taught me, slip stitch it. We slip stitch it together. So we slip stitch one onto the other and then trim away all of that excess at the back. That's option number one. Option number two is to machine it. But the best way to machine is to do what we just did now, but swap them over the other way. So if I undo this like that, because now we've got this really nice permanent press through here on this one, then we can open it up, bring the other one over the top and do the same thing. So now we'll fold this one back. See what I mean? I was naughty here and I didn't finish that off properly. So now we've gone back the other way. Sure, that's all right, that all matches up. Then you'll hit that again. Okay, now both my pieces have got this crease line in them, so I can flip this over and I can bring both of those lines together and pin them to sew. If you want to mark them with a pen as well, you can, but I'm just going to pin these through. So I've got this crease line on the top, oh Ginny, and I've got another one underneath, so I can just pin and match all of this right up to the corner. Oh, Lisa, that one's way off. Okay, that's better. It always greatly worries me that when I do things for you, or demonstrate things and share things with you, they are never perfect on Facebook. And I think it's because I always like to rush, because everyone's time is so valuable, and I'm always grateful that you take the time to sit and listen to me gabble on, but I don't like to waste my time, waste your time while I sit here and spend ages making sure they're absolutely perfect. So please forgive me if when we sew this, it's not. So I'm coming right up into that corner where I stop sewing on both sides and both the seams meet. I should mention too, if you're thinking about doing it with Under the Australian Sun, we need to have a chat, because Under the Australian Sun is not a symmetrical border. It's non-symmetrical. I can show it to you. We're going to do a feature with the teal and pink border stripe coming up, so I will talk to you about it then. But it's not symmetrical. It's sort of, it doesn't do this. It flows on left to right with the foliage. So you can't get that, it's not easy to get the mirror image, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. Okay, just going to carefully sew this. Now again, I should probably be sewing from the centre out, but I've got it well pinned, so we should be okay. If you feel that you're worried about it moving on you, again, just grab the quilter's tape that we were talking about for the kaleidoscope and just run a straight line of it right down through this crease that you've got, and it's going to make it easy for you to see where you're going, but it's going to stabilize both of these folds for you. And I'm sure, look, I'm really sure it's going to add to your precision a lot. We've got 3 pins up here. So I'll just go a bit slow because I don't want to take them out until I've actually sewn. You can, of course, hand tack if you wanted to as well. I do like, look, I've done it again. I haven't put a finishing stitch in. I do like to leave all of this on. I don't like to cut this off yet, and it's just like we do with other things. It gives you a lot of stabilization if you can leave all of that on. It's a bit more cumbersome, but it's really nice to leave it on until you've done the sewing. It just helps keep it all nice and straight. If you cut all that off and just leave yourself with a seam allowance, you're going to get more give, because then you've created an edge that's on the bias, and so it loses its integrity, like when we actually purposely make bias. Give this a little press. And then I get really nervous. And then I have a sneak peek. I'm off! I'm off! See, I told you, if I do, I'm off. Okay. I would have to unpick this and do it again, because I have not kept them together. As I said, I've rushed, and I should have drawn that line in and trimmed that off. And then you'd come through here. I'm off, but I'm not going to stop. We're going to just finish this off. Pop under the board, and then I like to open this seam allowance up so it's nice and flat. I need to redeem myself now. look, I'm off just a bit. I need to, yes Ginny, thank you. I'm a 1/4 of an inch off, so I need to unpick these. And you can see they almost match here. As I said, I rushed the pinning. But that gives you a fair idea of how it works. Stand back a long way and look, okay? Just stand back a long way and look. But that's going to give you a really nice, flat, finished mitered corner. And the best way to get it all to match, which we've talked about before, and particularly in the last couple of weeks when we've talked about kaleidoscope work, please do what I just said, but when you go through and pin, don't talk to anyone else like I was talking to you, and not just look at pinning the crease line together. So I've got the crease line right because it's all sitting really nice and flat. This way's right, but this way's out a little bit. So as well as watching your crease for putting those 2/4 inch seam, or putting that seam line together, watch where your design is as well. So all I needed to do was just look and make sure, as well as those matching the crease line this way, that I also was matching up their little flower points and things as I went, just like we did with the kaleidoscope. So that's the bit out. But besides that, that's a smack flat mitered corner. And I think that's what Rosemary was worried about, that her corners were kicking out. So that whole fold back, lining up your raw edges is what you need. The other thing you can do, if you remember, we were looking at the angles on our rulers. So the other thing you can do to be doubly sure that your folds are great, pull out your ruler and pull out your 45-degree line, because that's also going to be a great guide for you. So on my ruler here, this is a 45-degree line here. So when I'm actually doing my folding, if I pop my ruler on and line up the edge of my block with the edge of the ruler and put that 45-degree line over my seam, or more importantly, while you're still getting it ready, over your fold, then you're going to make sure you get a perfect line. Now I'm trying to redeem myself because that seam doesn't match, but that's sitting there and I am sitting smack, my seam sits smack on that 45-degree line, so that way it's nice and flat. Okay, so see if you've got something that you can use in your stash to have a little bit of a play, and try and grab something that does have a pattern on it. If it's a little stripe left from Christmas or something like that, that you can have a play with and see if it works, you know, really well for you as well. But I think the other trick is, it's just always, I love ironing this out flat so you can see the seams from the center block are pressed outwards, and then this is through here, and that is kind of the trick as well to getting a really nice mitre on it. I need to go and look at what else I've got now I can use, because I can't use under the Australian sun, which is most frustrating. I can't do it. Now I think I've shown you everything that's on here. You'll see a lot of stuff under the banner or under the code Wisteria today. The one I didn't, three others that I didn't pull out, I've popped under the nectar prints, and I stashed these. I don't stashed, I think that, I'm not even sure if they were online or not, but I love these. Now, I did stash them, didn't I? Because I haven't been around for a while. Purple, fuchsia, and black. And the reason I'm just mentioning these, I'm going to put together some new combo packs. Purple periwinkle. So I know before we've had purple lilac as little limited edition ones. I'm going to do purple periwinkle ones. So you'll have everything from your true purple through to periwinkle, and they will include periwinkle fairy frost, purple flowering gum. They'll have the nectar in it as well. They'll have the new periwinkle. They'll have this one in, and they'll have the gorgeous, I've chopped up the ombre. So keep your eye out for those. You know, on the website there's a little spot down the bottom you can click on recently added. It's always good if you're on there, just have a look, because that tells you what's new that we've just put up on the website. So I will get those done and pop them up. Steve's back in Thursday, so they're going to be on his pile to do on Thursday. Now I'm not here Thursday, and I don't know, I'm not sure how much of Thursday I can share with you, but I'm hoping I can do a lot. Sorry, what, Chin, what are you doing? Please tell me you're right. Toy mouse, better than a real one. On Thursday, I am actually going to be at the Briars, which is in Mount Eliza, and it is a beautiful homestead property that was donated by a family a long, long time ago, and it's half National Trust and half Mornington Peninsula Council. So it's very unique in the way that it's run and structured. And as I know I've mentioned to you before, the homestead is going to be reopened this year. Now, it hoped to be early this year, and we were going to be one of the first ones in there running a workshop in the Edwardian room. But now it's had to be delayed until late this year. So, but again, we'll still be one of the first in the Edwardian room as soon as we can get in. And I've got plans for a very opulent day in the Edwardian room at the Briars. But on Thursday, I'm going to be there with, oh, I'm so excited, I want to dance, with the National Trust team and the Briars team, and we are bunking in the furniture on Thursday. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be allowed to share any of it with you. I'm really hoping I can give you a look around at least the Edwardian room that we're going to be using. It's a fabulous new kitchen and everything. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to give you a sneak peek. I'll at least show you the outside. The family donated with the house a large collection, over 400 pieces of Napoleon artifacts. They actually had a collection of things that belonged to or were touched by or possessions of Napoleon, as in the Napoleon, the great Napoleon. So I'm going to get to play with those. That's probably a very irresponsible way of putting it. I'm going to get to be involved in curating and moving all of those back into the homestead that they've spent 3 years renovating and getting ready to open. It's beautiful. So it's going to be another lovely new place to visit, like Como House, like Ripponlea, sort of those places. And you've got this whole huge park, 127 hectares of native bushland and landscape gardens with it. If you ever want to just go to the Briars, it's a great spot. Have a look. They do weekend markets, they have evening open cinema, and it's just a lovely place to go for beautiful bushwalks. But keep your eye on Facebook on Thursday, and I hope to be able to give you a sneak peek while I'm down there. So excited. Why am I allowed in? Well, I'm mates with Joe, and now I'm mates with Lizzie from the National Trust, and Joe used to work at the Botanic Gardens at Cranbourne, where we used to hold the exhibitions, so we became good friends, and we've continued that relationship. So that's why. But Liz is also going to give me access this year to a lot of artifacts, including cloth sample books from the mid-1800s of fabrics that were imported into Australia to furnish and decorate homes. And also I'm going to get in deep and dirty into the textile archives at the back of Ripponlea House with Liz. So I've got a lot of plans to share a lot of things with you this year. So I just want to share that with you because I know a lot of you have been waiting to get in there for the workshop. They've had to delay it till later in this year for safety, all these extra things that need to be done to open up a public place. But stay tuned on Thursday, and I hope to show you some really cool stuff from there. I want you to share my excitement. And why are we being allowed in? Because I'm making a drugget, okay? I'm making the drugget and a heap of other stuff. The drugget is a boiled wool rug that goes under your dining table in the 1850s if you were trendy and you knew what was in. Everyone had a drugget. And I'll be doing some textiles. I've got Margaret consulting on candle wicking and a few other things. So that'll all be good fun that I'll be able to share with you. Hopefully sneak peek Thursday, and then a lot more further on in the year. No William Morris at the Briars, Heather, but when you see the, no, no. When you see the wallpaper, well, there's no authentic William Morris designs. When you see the wallpaper, you're going to go, William Morris. It's just got that look. And it's quite amazing to me when I think about it that this is going back another 60, 70 years from Melba. Like, this is going back further again, another 60, 70 years in textile trends and design and what was being brought into Australia, because, you know, Dame Nellie built her place about 1910, oh, she was around 1910, 1920. Her dad built the Royal Exhibition Buildings 1988, but still this is older again. This is smack 1850, this house. This is complete with the separate kitchen building and everything as well. So it's a long way back, and very different and very, very exciting. And a little bit, Rosemary, no problems. A little bit, I don't know, it's kind of got, it's not a Sovereign Hill feel, I don't know, but it's real early pioneer. I mean, this is upper class house for the time, don't get me wrong, and I will share with you the whole history of how this house came about. It's fascinating, but it's real, we're getting back to real early industrial development in Australia at the time this house was built. So what's really lovely, when you stand at the Briars on the Hill, the family, the original family that it's come down from, donated it. They've got a house on a hill opposite, and they have set themselves up. They can still see the original homestead from where they live now. So it's kind of, doesn't feel like Big Brother watching, but it's really nice to know that they're not far away. So yeah, anyway, that's my dribble. And thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. As I said, I won't be here Thursday, but any questions you've got this afternoon, Wednesday or Thursday, please just email me at info@Chandler's Cottage. Steve will be here Thursday if you've got any questions about your orders. I'm around tomorrow. I'm shooting off now to the post office again and to do a couple of bits. Just leave me a message and I'll get back to you. All right, and thank you very much for joining me. I'm assuming you've finished, slept through my alarm. Oh no, Fiona, that's fine, you can watch it again. So thank you so much. And as I mentioned early at the start, I may or may not have shut down Facebook on my laptop, so I need to head out there and work out how to close down this afternoon's live feed. So you're going to get a lot of dead air and a lot of still, and Ginny may jump up on the counter, but anyway, I'll see you over the weekend sometime. I'll just have a chat to Rob about what we've got on, but we need to come back and continue our work with our Sunburnt Country quilt and also our Kaleidoscope table runner. And I should have all of those coordinates in for the pink and teal by then, and the others as well to share with you. So sit tight on that, keep cutting out your kaleidoscopes and having fun with them, and I'll see you sometime on the weekend. All right, bye everyone, thank you very much, bye. Are you coming, Jim?